So before we wrap, it's time for Kushae Catastrophes.
Yes.
So,
Yes, I'm
so this is
ready.
our mini segment where we talk about any catastrophic drama that might have gone down with your Kushae, your friend Kushae, or just a Kushae you might have heard about. So I would
Hmm.
love to hear your version of a Kushae catastrophe, darling. So
Ooh,
hit
this is very
it.
good, Tasco. Whee! So I did kind of share this with Kimba earlier. So it's so important to have what I like to call now is a strong health team, a strong healthcare team. And so I'm so proud to say that my therapist is a Black Haitian woman, my doctor is a Black Haitian woman, and so yes, like they are attentive and like really just take care, right? And so last year, last year I mean I knew this over the years, but it really started to drill home that panty liners aren't great for the cliche. And
Okay,
so
let's highlight that. Panty liners, girls, are boo. We don't like
yeah.
liners. There are certain situations you might need one, but every day,
Hmm.
nah, boo.
And that's what I was
Mm-mm.
doing for years. I was
Wow.
doing yes, for years, and so I decided I was going to stop doing the panty liners. And then I went on a trip to Bali, and I think probably because the
Nice.
water is different. The Bali trip was amazing, but that's a conversation for another day. But I think maybe because the water was different, the way it interacted with my Kushae, like I don't know. And so when I got back to the States, I realized that my discharge,
Was
the
discharging.
discharge, right, it was discharging, and I'm like, what's
You're like, who that?
what's that? And so I went to the doctor. And I had started doing research. I was like, is this BV or like, what exactly is happening? Because
Right.
it's not itchy down there. It's not burning. Nothing crazy is happening. It's just that smell is smelling. And so at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I didn't have the doctor that I had now. And so that doctor chalked it up to BV.
Right.
But literally a whole year had gone by, and it was still like, what's going on? Maybe my pH has changed. I don't know.
Right.
And so with the doctor that I have now, she was like, you know what? Why don't we do a urine test? And I was like, that's a good idea. Did a
Yeah.
urine test, and like found out that there was like bacteria that showed up in my urine that
Yes.
didn't necessarily um wasn't necessarily connected to
Okay.
the situation down there, and so ended up getting that treated, thank God, out of my
Hello.
system,
Woo-hoo.
but what I'm grateful for is that what I learned is that your body will tell you things, and I had to learn to listen to my body. And I think that's a thing that young women aren't raised up knowing to do. Like, especially in a Caribbean household, there wasn't necessarily any teaching around. Well, I mean, outside of your period. Like, yes, your mama gonna sit down and have that conversation with you, but that's where it ends.
Ends. And
That's
you
where
better
it
not ask no
ends.
questions. She's gonna be like, okay, goodbye.
Right. Like, all right, go run along now.
Exactly.
But like when other things start happening to your body, it's like it's a lot of self-discovery that you
Yep.
have to figure out what's happening. So even at my big age, there
Yo,
are
big
things where
H.
I'm like, even at my big age, I'm like, what is this? What?
Listen.
And so that's when I realized that like what was happening down there, it kind of pointed to something else. And I was so
Right.
glad that, I figured out what that was. And so I'm in a much better place now.
Yes,
Because
we
my
want to be
doctor
happy.
actually, yeah, my doctor spent the time to like listen, did like a pap smear situation.
Right.
And I'm in a better place. But it was scary at
Yay.
first because I was like, what?
It's so
It's not
scary
PV,
because
so what is it?
right.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, so it's so funny. We were doing a live the other day, Dr. Barb and I, and she said typically the any type of odor that's different is not associated with STDs. Like STDs tend not to have. And so I was like, for the ladies out here who smell a little something, just be like, whoo, child, because it's probably not that. And mostly it's something that you can fix. So even though an odor or something that's a little bit off smells wrong to you, or maybe a little bit more something that is apparent, it's typically not the worst case scenario. So that's the good news. The bad news is that the other stuff could creep up on your ass and you might not know. So, I think if you were to choose, I'd take the odor for 500 because that's probably something you could deal with. So, just dropping a little dime on that too, because women were like, oh, thank God that's good. But hey, you could have two things going on at once. It's just crazy. But I think we got to
Yeah.
stop being so embarrassed because it happens to every couche.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done that. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about couches all the time. Got my own.
Mm-hmm.
Managing that.
Managing that.
That's
It's
a whole
true.
day. That's a whole day job.
Mm-hmm. It
And
really is.
so, thank you so much for being transparent because, there are so many women who just don't want to have that conversation and they stay stuck. And I'm just like, let's just have a conversation, get past feeling stuck, and let's get you off to happy couche days. You know what I mean? That's kind of where we
Mm-hmm.
want everybody to be. So, it's a beautiful thing. And of course, if you ever need some couche products, I got you a little discount on.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yes, my love. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing your crochet catastrophe.